What's up, YouTube? Uh, it's still the same day. I'm gonna continue to add on to what I said in the past two videos today, and dumb it down even further. I went over why, what Satan is doing is not violating commandments. I explained why that's because honor is, if you do what's honorable for God or your parent, then that's, it's because it's something that would make your parent proud. And if your parent is proud, then people who aren't your parent will also be proud. There's a big difference between just your parent being proud and people who aren't your parent being proud as well. But either way, you're doing something good. You'd be following commandments because if you follow commandments, you prevent more sin from happening. So, yeah. And if you try to say that Satan doesn't, if you try to say that Satan is not, how do I say it? If you try to say that Satan doesn't do anything good, and you're basically saying that then you're basically saying the same as trying to say that the supposed honor that Satan does is the supposed honor that he could do is not really preventing sin. Okay, listen, here's why that's wrong. But Satan acknowledges that he himself is a person and or a thing, it keeps him, because he does that, it makes him smarter. It makes him be smarter than he would be if he decided to do the opposite. Because if he did the opposite, he would not acknowledge that he himself is a person and or a thing. And if he does that, then he will not be smart enough to keep himself alive. Satan would commit suicide if he did not admit to himself that he is a person and or a thing. If Satan committed suicide, it would cause harm to the environment. If you cause harm to the environment, you cause more sin. So that proves that just by Satan acknowledging that he is a person and or a thing, he's preventing sin from being brought to the environment. The way I said, it's how the laws of physics works. Okay, so anyway, that's one example of how it's pretty clear that if you can at least acknowledge basic facts about yourself, it will keep the environment safer. The less basic facts that you acknowledge about yourself, the more damage you'll do to your environment. It's always guaranteed. So that's proof that Satan does good. Now you might say, well, that's not true. If Satan killed himself from not acknowledging that, well, then it's not going to cause harm to Earth or the universe. Our universe. That's not true, because if a person commits suicide, their corpse will decay, and decay causes micro harm to the environment. Through the butterfly effect, and with other things. Decomposition of a body does cause some kind of harm to the environment because it creates more bacteria. For instance, Whether it's microbacteria or not, it's still going to cause some kind of harm to the environment. Because the more bacteria there is in the environment, the harder it is for the environment to stay healthy with antibacteria. Even if it's only by a small percentage point, it's still true. It's still true that if you actually take the time to what is it? Like let your environment be studied and compare the results for your environment with microbacteria that spreads versus what it would be if there was no microbacteria to spread. There's a massive difference in the long run. So yeah, even just one decaying body or corpse, it may not have massive effects on everything, but yeah. The other thing is that if Satan dies by committing suicide, then it's going to cause sinners, what the Bible calls sinners, to get, it would cause Christians to get angry, I guess, because it would not only cause non-believers to sin more, but it would also cause Christians to do more of what the Bible calls sin. Because you see, if the Bible says that prophecies were defied, it says the believers of God, of Jesus, will go angry and get mad and cause sin to happen. So the fact that Satan keeps himself alive instead of committing suicide means he's fulfilling prophecy of himself staying alive and not committing suicide. That's because of Satan that happens. That means that Satan is doing something good. Because by fulfilling prophecy, he's preventing believers from committing suicide or going mad with terrorism by learning their religion is wrong, or them having psychological trauma. Basically, anybody in the Bible who's villainized is doing good merely by fulfilling prophecies in the Bible and in other religions, because by fulfilling prophecies, you're keeping people happier and more satisfied with the fact that prophecies are being fulfilled. Something that, obviously, it's better for that to happen, because if it doesn't happen, they'll do more sin. And if something prevents people from getting unsatisfied or unsettled, then that's a good thing, because what causes people to sin is them getting unsettled or unsatisfied. So yeah, obviously Satan does good, just with a few basic examples, because just from one thing, which is acknowledging that he is a person and or a thing, he also acknowledges several other basic facts about himself and others that pretty much have the same effect as what I said. There's other basic facts about himself that if he didn't acknowledge them as being true, he'd commit suicide, or he would do more harm than he does otherwise. There's many things that Satan could do that are far worse than he's done, but he hasn't done them because he has some level of intellect. Satan actually allowing himself to have some level of intellect can't possibly be a bad thing. Or it is a bad thing, but it's a hybrid between a good and bad thing. Let's just call it that. Satan, by merely acknowledging basic facts, Satan merely by having an intellect, is Satan doing what the Bible calls good, simply because if Satan didn't allow himself to have intellect, he would be far more of a monstrosity and abomination towards people and humans. Satan must be doing some sort of good to make himself be better as a person than he would be if he didn't acknowledge facts. To say that Satan doesn't do anything good by acknowledging facts is like saying that Satan wouldn't do any less harm if he didn't acknowledge facts. There's a clear difference between those two versions of Satan. We have a Satan in our mind that acknowledges facts, and then we have a Satan in our mind that doesn't acknowledge facts. To say that they both do nothing but sin has to be a fallacy, so given there's a clear difference in how much harm they would be doing to existence. And to measure how sinful a person is, you merely go by how much harm on average they do to existence. So, yeah, I mean, long story short, that's all there really is to it. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just comes down to that. That proves that Satan does. Those are some ways, other ways to clearly know that Satan does good, even by the Bible's standards of what is actually good. By every definition used in the Bible of good, but Satan's actions meets all of them. It's very clear that every definition used in the Bible of good is just a spin on every other definition and a variation of every other definition contained within the Bible, because there's nothing else that it can be. And that's basically all there is to say about this and this one. It's pretty clear that Satan does good, and that every other villainized character in the Bible and other religions do good for the same sets of reasons over and over. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.